My colleagues and I are quite excited to share with you for a few moments what the family counseling ministry has meant to us and what we see it as a very vital ministry of the Susquehanna Association of the United Church of Christ. So we invite you to listen for a bit.
It really is the integration of the spiritual religious with the psychological that I think gives us our uniqueness now.
There's a sense that there's a kind of faith and transformation that can happen in a pastoral counseling relationship with a client that is somehow more substantial and more spiritual than might happen in a, say, a medically oriented counseling clinic or psychotherapy clinic.
When this opportunity came along to work with FCM, I was very, very pleased, very happy, because here's one place where I can integrate the psychological and the theological, and in my case the philosophical, because first and foremost I was trained as a philosopher and professor of philosophy. So integration and wholeness has always meant a great deal to me, and there's a bigger opportunity for me to do that here.
And that also makes us a perfect bridge for parish pastors who are trained largely as generalists and not able always to attend to the more particular psychological issues that may arise, and social issues, family systems issues. So we become a helpful bridge of people who in essence speak both languages and are able to be a resource, an invaluable resource, I understand it, for many pastors, while also providing a place that they can make referrals and know that their parishioners will be cared for well and still in a holistic fashion.
Another part that has always been important for me is the ecumenical aspect of our ministry, meaning that we certainly are sponsored by the Susquehanna Association. However, we work with many different denominations, and that's always been an exciting part of the ministry for me.
Sometimes the issue that people bring is not so much needing to remove symptoms, but in learning that the symptoms that they experience are important and actually useful and don't have to be threatening. And by putting it in a larger context like that, we can help people find ways, for example, to grieve in a creative way and not having to be thinking in terms of depression. Or, you know, if they're really low for a while, to be able to value that experience as something that's a kind of important fallow time for the human spirit, and it isn't something that should be simply medicated away so that we have more energy to do more things.
Most of the problems I deal with are relational problems, and the DSM doesn't deal with that. Mm-hmm. Couples and families, mostly couples. Or even on an individual level, if a person has a problem, it's usually not because they have one of the 10 personality disorders or a drug problem. It's usually a relational problem, very often rooted in childhood.
I have always appreciated about the family counseling ministry that we have held a high, in terms of credential, that we want people to understand, even though we may not use, what the DSM, what some of the various psychological theories are. We want people trained, and we've always held that as a very critical piece of, you know, who we are as pastoral counselors.
Well, we couldn't have our licenses nor our certifications without that knowledge.
And it's kind of nice that I sometimes think that we can't prescribe.
Oh, yeah.
Because people then don't come in for counseling looking for someone to give them a pill. They know that's not what they can get from me, so, which is good, you know, in my mind, that that there's more to, especially in this rather, you know, medical, clinical society we're living in with pills, that there is still great value, and all cannot be solved by just taking a pill. When they deal with us, perhaps that helps build up the trust a little bit quicker.
I know anyone who walks through my door recognizes that we're not going to get out with easy answers, but that I am committed to walking the journey with them, and they're not going it alone, and they're not going to fall into some pit without having a safety net of some sort, and that together, I think that's a model very much coming out of the understanding that we're a ministry. We're not working in any one sector. By virtue of ministry, we're dealing with our whole humanity in context. And that's a huge gift, because there are fewer and fewer places in this world where we can truly deal with a whole person in a whole context.
That's right.
We consult with the clergy of the churches that support the ministry. And oftentimes they'll call and say, you know, I have this person or this situation, and they'll have some kind of need or way of wanting some help with that, and we have, again, I think, been able to offer a lot in helping them understand circumstances that maybe they're not trained or have the insight for.
We subscribe to the Code of Ethics of the American Association of Pastoral Counselors, and that for the purpose of this conversation, the thing that we want to lift up is that one of those ethical principles is that we do not impose our own religious beliefs on our clients. We come with an understanding of how churches work, an understanding of how people experience churches, and we can help them to put that into some sort of context. That we not only have some understanding, but a huge respect for how people make use of their religious beliefs in their lives and families and in their healing, and that we can help them, if they choose, to integrate that understanding into the work that they're doing. And finally, for me, sometimes it's useful to say to folk that I don't have to know the answers, because I believe that the Holy Spirit is very much at work in their lives, and that my role is to help to kind of hold that, bring that relationship out that the person has with the Divine Spirit, and that's really what their healing is about.
And one of the things that's been really helpful to me in this working with family counseling ministry is that I've begun, after some training, to do some spiritual direction with people, both lay people and clergy from many different religious groups. And you know, to just listen to them and to see their struggles and the commonalities, and the differences really aren't so great.
Another benefit we get from being under the umbrella of the United Church of Christ, you know, as a mission, is that the United Church of Christ in itself is so open, so that you know, gays, lesbians, bisexuals, transgendered people, people with various handicaps are all included and encouraged to participate, for instance, in the United Church of Christ. And so therefore, the United Church of Christ, in their sponsorship of us, is supportive and not narrowing us down in any way, shape, or form as to who we see and what we might need to do or not to do for them or with them. That there are plenty of people out there with faith who have had trouble with their churches, and we don't have to take a church line. We help you hold on to your faith even if you can't hold on to your particular church. And I think that's important. I do.
Over the years, I've had a number of clients, many clients, who are non-believers, who are outright atheists or agnostics, and yet they see me and they feel comfortable with me, because they know I'm not going to impose a set of beliefs. You know, and yet they know I'm a minister, and so, you know, unconsciously there must be some kind of seeking, I assume, on their part for some kind of spirituality. And if it arises in a session, then I'm prepared to deal with it. But I'll never impose a set of beliefs.
I think we can add a third category, though, to what you said, and that is the pastoral counselor, who is somebody who is trained in understanding some of how people make use of the spiritual in their lives, and that we have some understanding of congregations and how they work, and some understanding of the various ways that different traditions use their understanding of spirit in their work, because there are many Christian counselors who don't have that broad training, and there are many counselors who are Christians who don't have that broad training. And I think we really bring it together in a pretty unique way.
our belonging to and participating in the American Association of Pastoral Counselors is a very helpful place to continue to learn and have conversation with other people who are also doing this. We do case conference, we also share things about our lives that are helping us to grow and learn. And when we go to a regional meeting or a national meeting of AAPC, there's there's a larger community with the same aim and the same some of the same goals.
The word covenant is what has always been important for my sense of what happens in this group. That there's a way we covenant together and help each other in the ministry. And that's always been a very important piece for me.
You've heard us talk quite a bit about the family counseling ministry and how we understand what we do. This is a nonprofit organization that exists as a ministry of the Susquehanna Association of the United Church of Christ, and the offices that we serve are within the geographical boundaries of the Susquehanna Association, quite a large area. This is an ecumenical ministry, even though it was started under the auspices of the United Church of Christ, and we get much of our support from local congregations from many different denominations. Your contributions also make it possible for us to provide our counseling without benefit of third-party insurance payments, and makes it possible for us to use a fairly liberal sliding scale that makes counseling affordable for many, many people. So we invite you to come and be a part of supporting this ministry that we provide to you and to your community. There are many ways that the family counseling ministry can be a resource to local congregations, and that's part of our mandate to want to do that. But we can't figure out all by ourselves what it is that would work for you, and so please be in touch with us and help us to figure out the best kind of ministry for you. Find us on the web at fcmsite.org, and there's more information about each individual counselor and our contact information. And please feel free to call us and set up a time when we can get together. Thank you.